Well, day after Christmas. What day is Christmas on? The 25th? Here we are. Getting into a writing session again. I'll be honest, sometimes it's like jumping in this shit's kind of tough. I'm gonna be honest, man. The past couple weeks I haven't been very productive here on this bad boy. I've been like at work, but I've been really trying to preserve my energy. Do you know what I mean? As hard as I can. So I don't like feel like when I get to this here, I'm already drained. Like that's super hard. Super fucking hard. And it's like, how can I do this in a way that I'm giving everything I have to the writing here? Because it's like, in my mind, I don't want to like do this wrong. You know, like I'm so nervous that I'm like draining myself at my job that I don't give a flying fuck about. But here, I'm not putting in the effort that I should. You know, as if like my pool or my fucking vial in the top corner of my video game screen, the energy is very low. My mana, if you want to call it that. And it's trying to find ways to push past that, keep that full, or be, in a sense, how would I even word that? Ready for when the flow hits me, and then I can put it into here. That's the hard part. That's the part I'm still trying to figure that out. You know, because everyone will have an opinion about it, but it's up to you to define it. So, what I kind of was doing was a little writing prompt thing yesterday on Christmas. If I can just kind of keep the energy going, keep the flow happening, maybe I could kind of unravel something. Well, in saying that, I have what I'm considering the stream of consciousness writings. But the overall theme of this writing, as I was noticing, was it went from the book to real life. But once it came into the real realm of my life, it was more of me talking to myself and how can I keep at bay this darkness that seems to be at my doorstep. And how was it brought about to me? So I think the major thing that I was conversing with in this was this darker being that has found itself within me. Was it invited inside, or was it always there now manifest? Because that's the hardest part. It's just like, how do I know which one it is? Was it within or was it without? So in defining that, I was trying to give myself kind of a little pep talk about my writing. I think we are treading closer to our purpose now. Tell me, how do you feel as a writer? I feel like I am so very bad at it. It's my voice, and in using it, I am very poor with the perception. Or rather, the way in which I use my voice to communicate with another. It is like this. I do not want to change who I am because it would make it easier to be heard. That to me feels like a sort of defeat. It's a loss. And in that loss, I will have walked away from more and more my old self. The shedding of the skin. I don't want to lose any more of myself. I don't want to lose my voice. But who says that you will lose your voice? Who says that changing to become a better writer is you losing your voice? Would you stop? I would say learning how to communicate and trying to be understood will only increase your writing strength. You will always be yourself, but you can learn to speak more fluently or really hone in on the voice that rides within you. Do not change for someone because of them. No, in fact, change for only you. Change to be more authentically you. Learn the inner depths of your mind, and from that point, bring forth in the best and clearest way what you have extracted. Look at the YouTube channel. People want to hear what you have to say. They want to listen to you. Just take that and place it in the writing. Make sure that the words that flow from your hands are indeed the very same in intensity than the words that pass from your lips. Your heart will always be the same. Just remember, the words that pass from fingertips are the very same. And you're the person that words will always seep out. It's kind of trying to pep myself, like pep talk myself into trying to be a better writer in a sense. Because for me, man, it's like a constant goddamn struggle to do this all the time. To sit down, there's days where this is so okay and I don't have to think too much about it and I get a lot of stuff done. But then there's other days where it's like, I don't know, it's like such a constant fucking struggle to just find okayness. I don't know how to word it. Just a flow state, it's like getting off the runway. Some days is super easy. We just fucking go. Other days there's a lot of the bad weather or malfunction in equipment and shit. And so it seems to be that way. And I know the ebb and flow of it is kind of crucial, You kind of have to have the good days. You kind of have to have the bad days. I understand that. I don't have a problem with it. It's just, it always ends up making me feel like a failure when I can't sit down and just let the words flow with ease, or sitting down and actually enjoying what I'm writing. There are a lot of days I don't even like it. I'm typing it out and I just fucking hate it. This is so stupid. I don't like this writing. I am so fucking bad at this. And it just encourages that bad behavior of self-loathing in a sense. That part is what's in, I don't know, it just seems to be hard to get over it, And so I'm trying to find ways to, when I notice this, how would I word that? As I notice it, I try to correct it, kind of correct the behavior a little bit. Instead of going into I don't like, well then let's try to get better at it. What is it that you don't like? Identify that. I don't like that I don't feel like a storyteller when I'm doing this. I just never do. But then I have to remind myself, the way you're writing and what you're writing is a very personal journey. You're not just telling this for no reason. This is a journey that is so within self that it's easy to get lost in it. Maybe it's not necessarily the thing that you think it is. I don't know. Can you stop with the fucking nails? You don't really notice all these things of your work. I would say in fantasy, because I don't know anything else, or some sort of fictional writing, I didn't really notice all the, how would I word it, similarities from the world into mine. So in the book, mankind was born in the forest, right? It's kind of like Fangone Forest, just a massive fucking forest. I totally just I like that about Lord of the Rings, but in my life, I live in an area in Michigan where we're just surrounded by forests, right? And in my 13 years, from when I was born to age 13, we lived in this trailer park that was in the middle of a giant, it's just a big forest, right? All from, behind it. And so to me, it was just innate, right? You just yeah, of course, a forest. Everyone's grows up near a giant forest. That's just normal. That became part of the story. But within the story, when mankind left the forest, and the gods were manipulating them, and the gods were starting to choose sides and use conduits to speak through, one of them, for one reason or another, told a descendant, which is the son of the progenitor of man. His name was Tanais. This god told him never to go into the forest. The forest is this dark, evil place. Do not trust it. But his brother, Odysseus, was very interested in what was so evil about it. They were told the Dark Ones, the Anaku, hide within it. Kind of like wood elves. So, you think okay, you know, I don't know, like maybe he heard that from this story, maybe he put it together because of this folklore, whatever it is. But the reality is, and I never noticed, as we were growing up in that trailer park, the woods were this place where a lot of the kids kind of knew, don't go fucking with the woods. You know what I mean? Don't go in there. Just because there was something really strange about that. I don't know what it was. There was something really odd about those woods. People would see things in them. People would, like, my sister alone, the amount of things that she would see coming from the forest, you know, whether it be balls of light, walking, like, I remember she saw with her friend a glowing kind of white, like walking on two legs wolf, but it was limping, like it was hurt or something. Or the horsemen, I remember them hearing, like seeing the horsemen in the woods. I myself, it was kind of, I found it to be like Odysseus, where I was like, I knew that it was not good to go there. I knew the adults and the other kids didn't want us to be in the woods. But for some reason, I was super intrigued. Okay, I'm sorry. Come on. Oh. I was super intrigued, because I thought there was some sort of beings in the woods or something. I don't know what it was. I always was like drawn to it. Can you just sit, please? Instead of playing this game. I was just like super, super drawn to the woods, like Odysseus was. I was like, why are the woods the dark woods? And the few times that I would go in them, as I think back, it's kind of hard, but I don't think I was afraid. I don't think I was afraid of the woods like that. So, to me, I guess I never picked up on that. Like, that's where Odysseus and Tanaia's story is. You know, like that's exactly it. Tanaia's, like my sister, was the one that's kind of only really seen bad things going in it, and I was just curious, like, well, how bad is it? And as I went into the woods as a child, I noticed it felt like I was transported into another realm. Now that is much in the same as like how Eris felt after he left the walls of Aval, the major city, which is the main hero in the books, right? Thousands of years after the Tanais and Odysseus thing. But when I would go into those woods, I remember, because, you know, when you're young, the world's so large. It's like, in a weird way, it's like, those woods behind the trailer park, when we walked there and we went in them to a bit, we got to this part where I just remember there was these like hills, like a clearing, and there was like hills and stuff, and a path, and I thought I had traveled so far. You know, because I had not explored that as a child. It felt like I had moved into another realm. We'd moved so far. In reality, probably was only like, not even a quarter of a mile. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't even that far. But to me, it was so much. And it felt in that moment, as I looked out into that valley, surrounded by woods, I thought like, I felt kind of at peace, at one with it. I kind of thought like, this is right in some way, shape, or form. And I just wasn't allowed to, because my mother would be back at home not wanting us to go too far away and not being gone too long. And I felt like, man, we're going to get in trouble, but like, I really want to be here. And that has like shaped a lot of the fucking story, in the writings and stuff. And you don't really see how that can happen, you know, because like I said, when you're writing fantasy or any sort of fiction, it's like, it's hard to find the lines of like, okay, what is my personal experience and what is just me making shit up, you know what I mean? Or like copying my favorite fantasies or copying my favorite mythologies and folklores and myths. It's hard to know that. So what I tried to always focus on was self. You know, I love the idea of kind of reimagining Irish folk tales. I love the idea of re-exploring Greek myths and stuff. But every time I try to sit down and study these things, I find like I just want to tell my story and how I experience things. Because as I discovered more and more, there's kind of this epidemic, if you will, amongst people not having stories. Oh my god, now there's two. Stories of like an initiation, in a sense. Do you know what I mean? So it's like how, like the gender thing now. How everyone's confused about their gender. I was born the wrong one and this and that. Well, the reason why that's a huge deal is because that we aren't being taught. Oh my god, you guys. Just go play. Go play somewhere, you guys. They're not being taught, in a sense, what the gender role is. Like the ancient stories, the initiation process. The process in which we learn how to become a man, or we learn how to become a woman. We don't do that, so fucking of course we're confused and lost. It's like it's the result of not fucking being real with ourselves. And so when it comes to just that alone, now you think of all the other stories that mythology and theology and like folk stories and stuff, they're supposed to help teach and guide. They are the guidelines of life through the experience of like sages, in a sense, or people that are poets and bards. The ones that are more closely in tune with the other realm, well, these are the stories that they bring back and try to teach us with. Through the mythology, there is kind of this template. And in that template, we can lay down in those blank spots all of our knowledge of the real world. So you have the template of a mythology, and like you lay down the things, and all of a sudden it becomes an initiation process from a boy becoming a man. Now when they hear that story, not only are they being entertained and shown what a hero is, in a sense, but they're also learning what it is to be a man. There is no confusion. We do understand what it is. Like, I don't know if I'm a man or not. Like, you would know. Do you know what I'm saying? I find that to be the role that I'll kind of walk through, but only with my own subjective experience. Because, you know, like I said, I wanted to reignite the old legends and the old stories. But for whatever reason, the mental block that I have is like, are these even accurate anymore? Have they been contorted by Christianity or by other races of people that stories don't belong to? Like, are these things being fucked with? And I'm just like, it seems like they have to be. People are getting their grabby little fingers all over it. And so we kind of lose touch with our heritage, our stories and all that. And that's why I'm just like, what if I just kind of focus on me? I unravel the idea of my life, because I've been kind of not shown the true way of how to grow as a human being based on my culture, because I don't feel like I have a culture. You know, I never really thought of it in that way for a long time, that I just was kind of aimlessly wandering. Because like they make you feel like, you know, like I'm a white guy, and it's just like, well, your culture is everything, like they'll lie about. And I'm just like, what are you fucking talking about? What do you mean everything? Like, my heritage feels so fucking confusing and so like misled and like almost destroyed, in a sense. It's just like, and you look into it, you start to try to unravel, like, well, where did I come from? What happened and stuff? And I can't see a story of a people, like, I just see like the big enemy of like the Romans, the big enemy of the Saxons, and the third one is the English throughout history, in that order. And I always look at them and say, like, they were the ones who brought about the destruction of like what my people are. I descend from that, not the Romans or the Germans, but I descend from this English, Welsh, Irish, Scottish, and a little bit of Scandinavian. So like their story to me is so like, I'm trying to unravel it and see like if it makes sense to me, because it's just been like destroyed. What songs did my people sing? You know, so all that shit would just like be in my head, and I like, fuck this. Like, we just need to write our story. I know you really want to explore the Irish stories and all that. I know you really want to fucking talk about Scandinavian folklore and stuff and Finland and all that. But you can't. You got to talk about yourself, because you got to find you. As hard as it is to try and do that, it kind of makes me feel like I am alone as I tread forward into this idea. Like, I don't have any guidelines. I don't have bumpers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm definitely just walking this alone. Oh, God. It smells like shit. Somebody must have either farted or they just got done shitting. Danny, I swear to God. So that's what made it difficult. Because the story of the characters is an exploration of myself. And I use the mythology to really help in that. It's not easy. It really isn't. Like, with a few of my characters, I feel like I'm placed before a great expanse. And I don't know where to go. It's like that video I made called An Honest Struggle. That was just me sitting down, and I said, stream of consciousness, talk, and that's what happened. It's like always something that I feel. I feel like I'm before this great expanse, this great divide, and I don't know what's to come. When you're feeling that way, it's like, how do you write? And what is writing in that sense? It's just some sort of, as I worded it in my new short little thing I wrote somewhere, the writing feels kind of like, let us open up to the world. Let us flourish that part of ourselves that was always hidden in the shadows. We are the one who can open and let out that familiar feeling. We are then one that will show them the way into true self. Our tool shall be the one which is unraveled in the word. Through the typing experience, we can bring forth the incantation. We just need to keep our flow of words, and through them, we will begin to see the pattern. Through the pattern, we will unfold the hidden gem that is thought. When he told me that he could never trust in God, that was when I realized he never knew him in the first place. He never spoke to God, nor had he been shown the word. That word that was hidden deep inside, waiting to be uttered, so that it might unlock those subconscious thoughts where they were planted deep inside. It's like I realized the idea of like self-exploration through this consciousness kind of form here of writing. It's same as thought process. What that does is that it kind of unlocks words in specific orders, and in those orders, those words is like a spell being said. And when those words are found in succession, you find the flow of consciousness in the writing, and all of a sudden you realize you just wrote 10 pages today. But what you're doing there is, within the words that you just unlocked, those words were planted there through God. Through God of self, through God of without, it doesn't matter. But it was planted there, and you found them, and they led you down the path. So that's like the path. That part right there, not only is the mythology of my entire story, but it's the basis of how I understand writing generally. Is the words are kind of the patterns. They are the puzzle pieces. And the right words, and in the right order, when spoken, will unlock it'll just manifest something. Whether that's a memory, whether that's like some sort of story element or like a chapter. It could be anything, but it will unlock it for you. And from that point, you're able to go forward. So writing a story, only knowing self, is probably the only way you can do anything. You know, like, we all want to use the basis of fantasy. I want to write a fantasy in the realm of whatever it is called in Elder Scrolls, the world. I forgot, Narn or something. I want to write a fantasy that's within the world of Lord of the Rings, or this one. Like, you're using someone else's template. You need to use your own. I think that's the biggest key that you can have, is trying to find your version of your own story thrown into this kind of mixer, this cavalcade of like all these emotions and things you ever felt, then placed inside a made-up universe, kind of like the one behind me. And all of a sudden you have this playground. And so everything in that world has a feeling, has a vibe. You know, you definitely will notice when you read certain writers, you can sense their world has like, oh, this guy is a very dark, grim. You know, this one's very light and fantastical or whatever it is. Like, that's why. That's the key to everything. When it comes to writing, you have to unravel and solve all of those things. And the point of this video is to say, sometimes that's fucking hard to do. Sometimes you'll sit down at this and you can't find them. You can't find those words, and sometimes you can find them, but you don't know how to navigate it. Like, it feels like you're riding a horse that's not broken. So it's like you're just kind of like at the whim of it, and you might fall off of it. You know, there's a big struggle in that. But I think that we can talk about in the next video. I mean, that's how you fix and rewrites, but it's just, the point of this is when you're writing and if you're doing shit like this, it is difficult. It is not, I really don't think it's easier for other people. If it is, they're lying to themselves. They must be. It can't be this so simple. So, I don't know. We're going to probably cut the stream of consciousness from there. And stop. Because Sissy's just distracting. I know, I see quit. I'll see if I can fucking write, you know. We'll see what I can come up with today. Maybe we'll begin with a little writing prompt.